Musical theme of the day. He's a local with a long history of award-winning journalism and writing. And now Tim Ghianni has written a book about his years covering the music scene here in Nashville.
The book is called Pilgrims, Pickers, and Honky-Tonk Heroes. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you, ladies. I
Tell
appreciate
us all about this book.
Well, this is a passion project of mine, basically. This is it's 34 chapters about people who I've known and come to love during the course of my time here. I was in the newspaper business for about 40 years or so, and I acquired a lot of people who were my friends. And I did news stories or feature stories, but then I kept up with people as friends afterwards. So that's what it's about. It's about these people, including some couples like Tom T. and Dixie Hall and June and John Cash. There are some couples in there as well. It's about how it's about all these people, and it's about the time that I spent with them. It's not about me, but it's all told in first person because I had peculiar access, particularly because of I was there in the room with them.
Yeah,
so. Right.
I mean, the fact that you covered, as a journalist for 34 years, the music scene, and you got to see so much that people can only dream of. I'm sure there must be a story or two that stands out.
Well, actually, when I came to Nashville, I was in a lot of different phases of the newspaper business, but the entertainment aspect of it, they actually put me in that because they wanted more of a newsy edge and entertainment at the old Nashville Banner. And then I spent the rest of my career in there. When I moved to Nashville at first in 1972, my dream was to meet Chris Christopherson, who I'd learned about when I was up north. I grew up in the Chicago area. And I had his records, the ones that had been out at that point. It's by 72. And I liked his writing so much. I'm a rock guy, but I liked Chris's writing so much that I really wanted to meet him. And so that didn't happen in 72. It eventually happened in 2003, where he and I took him for a walk down Music Row. He had not been on Music Row in the daytime in 30 years, and that's where he built his repertoire. And when it used to be a kind of a ratty old honky-tonk area. And so Chris and I and his 16-year-old son John, named for Johnny Cash, that we walked down Music Row one Sunday afternoon. We called it Sunday Afternoon Coming Down rather than Sunday Morning Coming Down, which was Chris' song. So that's probably one that would be a highlight. Just having him now be a friend. He's a friend of mine. Most of these people are, probably 75% of these people are deceased. I had the opportunity, I had the access to them, so that I wanted to make sure that their stories were remembered, because Nashville is changing so much. And these are a lot of the older people, and the young people like you guys, may not know a lot of these older folks too well. You know their names probably, but the new music and the new Nashville isn't the one that these guys built.
Yes.
So that's because of my access, and because I had all these memories and notes, and I'd done stories over the years and spent a lot of time with these people. I decided it was time to write this book.
Yes, I love it.
Thank you.
I love it. And I'm so glad that you did write this, because as you said, these are names that people know, but maybe not their full stories, and you're keeping it alive forever. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I was just going to say, as a journalist, these people are opening up to you some very personal stories.
Yes.
I'm sure people are probably wondering at home, how do you get that close to someone that big? You must have some sort of secret,
Basically, I just was acting like their friend. That wasn't an act. They became my friends. It's a long story, so I have to abbreviate it quickly, but I kept a list starting way back in the 80s of when I would come in contact with a musician and I liked him or her, and we hit it off well. But they were getting older, so I kept this list with phone numbers, and I would call. Every one of them would get a call from me within every 3 weeks or so, because I wanted to make sure that these older folks knew that they were still, somebody still loved them and cared about what they were doing. Those are the people who are in this book, really.
Love that.
Those people. And so that's, but in terms of getting close to them, it wasn't artificial at all. They're my friends. It is told, like I said, it's told in first person. And it was just a matter of many, many days spent with these folks, or in some cases fewer days, but I still had time. And I did a lot of research also. It wasn't just me writing. I did a lot of research with other interviews that these folks had done, and their music and their honors, and their families, things that wouldn't have come up in the conversation, but that I wanted to include in there.
Well, thank you
Tim,
so much.
I could spend another hour and a half with you. I want to pick your brain.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Speaking of picking, you can pick up Pilgrims, Pickers, and Honky-Tonk Heroes wherever books are sold in just a couple weeks. You can also pre-order it right now.
Ooh, gotta get it.
Yay!